just one match left this weekend for the Heroes Global Championship. Hey guys, Gillian Dredd back here for more North American Heroes action. Man, the last series went a lot faster than we were expecting, and definitely in a way that we were not expecting, Dredd.
Yeah, it was again, just shout out to Gale Force Esports for the amount of work ethic that went into that series, and then the execution on top. You can do all the homework in the world. The execution is the most important factor, and they in fact had both, so very well done.
With that amazing victory, we're going to check in with the standings of HGC North America. Gale Force Esports, in getting one victory over Tempo Storm, puts them at a 4-2 record. However, it's not quite enough to clinch the final spot, the Western Clash. They'll face No Tomorrow next weekend. We're going to move on to Team Freedom, a team who has been able to get victory over Gale Force Esports. And as we mentioned, they need to win every series here on out. In fact, they, Superstars and B-Step, all have to win their series here on out to even make it a possibility for them to get that Western Clash spot.
Yeah, so Freedom here is going to be looking, obviously for a win in any way that they can to be able to further their lead here over No Tomorrow. No Tomorrow's a team yet to, they've just been struggling since the very beginning, yet to be able to get that, growth and development. That being said, Freedom came out guns blazing, died out a little bit, in week number 3. And so we'll see where they return to at week number 4. If it's going to be that, young, hungry group of players, or is it going to be a little bit more still trying to identify themselves?
If there's one thing I've noticed, though, about the HGC here in North America is that at any point, it can be a turnaround point for a team in NA. You never know when it's going to be that a team turns around. We'll see if they're able to do it. But for now, let's hear from Team Freedom and No Tomorrow.
I think No Tomorrow is overly aggressive, and they get caught out a lot, and they're going to be easy wins in HGC.
We call them Team Free. My thoughts on Team Free is they're new. I think they slid by Vox Nihili in qualifiers. I think Vox Nihili choked, and they're here on accident.
Well, I think No Tomorrow is a good team overall. I think a couple of their players are pretty new, like Casanova, and Trees is still, I think, kind of overrated. I think he's a good player, obviously, but he still needs to work and play more game and stuff. It should be a good matchup, but I think we should be able to beat them.
Oh, you mean Team Free, right? Yeah, because they're free AF. We're gonna take them every week. Easy dogs.
I think that'll be an easy matchup for us. We'll just look for Casanova out of position and capitalize on that.
The BM every week for Freedom every week. But a little bit coming in from No Tomorrow too and Casanova. Although, to me, it seems like Freedom are the ones who have a little bit more of the ability to do that, considering the fact that they have been able to take out some of the old dogs in both Gale Force Esports and Eventic.
Yeah, it is definitely, I guess a little bit more credible coming out from Freedom and the confidence that they had. But, No Tomorrow, they just Team Free, I guess, is the motto we're going with. Both teams seem very confident using, the term easy is where I felt like both of them were coming from here. But obviously only one is really going to have that success. I do think it will very much be Freedom, but maybe it's the moment. You said any moment can really be the turnaround here for a team. Maybe it's going to be No Tomorrow now, or is it going to be the recovery of Freedom?
Right. B-Step, for instance, had a really tough time, and then in week 3, all of a sudden just showed up, and they have been looking very good ever since. So you never know when the team will really let their synergy come online and go into lock. We're going to check out the the HGC Battleground pool to see which Battleground will be our first.
Well, it's going to be the bans here. No Tomorrow removing Warhead Junction. Team Freedom is going to be banning out Dragonshire there, doing their research, realizing that No Tomorrow is pretty much the only team that's going to be picking Dragonshire. And first map here, in fact, is going to be No Tomorrow taking us to Sky Temple.
So we're heading back into Sky Temple yet again. One thing I wanted to talk about for Freedom and No Tomorrow is that both of these teams have really emphasized their comfort picks before. But when you look at those comfort picks, there's a lot of overlap between these two teams. Things like Tychus, Artanis, Li Ming. Both sides really like those heroes. So it's, for me, going to be who can step outside of those small hero pools that we've seen so far and adapt to that when those things get taken away.
Yeah, and I think outside of maps, where Artanis really kind of is going to be thriving, I'd be comfortable just let it go. If the team is, he just hasn't been doing that well outside of anywhere where he's going to be able to be successful with the map objective itself. So Sky is a map where a little bit better than some, but in the end doesn't really overly kind of jump out as a dominant pick outside of BOE. So we'll see who ends up letting it go up. Though the Li Ming, that is an interesting one since she has been questionably valued across North America. Some rise, some fall. Sky Temple is going to be one of her better maps. It sits on more of the positive, a little bit better than that of like an Infernal Shrines. Varian's going to be banned out here though for Freedom.
Will it be a Tassadar ban for tomorrow? Yep. Looks like it's heading that way. Tassadar banned out from Team Freedom. Now do Freedom pick Ragnaros? No.
I like it. I like it. The Zeratul pickup here, already making some changes into the draft. Zeratul has been a ridiculously high priority hero for North America, especially after about week number 3 is when it seemed like more teams than just, Tempo Storm and maybe a Gale Force here and there picking him up, just putting fear into the opponents. So now where is going to be the response now for Tommorrow? Malfurion is still available. I would expect it to be a Malf. And then either the Ragnaros are going with Li Ming, maybe a Tychus.
If Tommorrow want Tychus for Jason, they're going to have to pick it now, I think. Knowing how much Dansky has been playing Tychus whenever Team Freedom can get him. The only other thing really we've seen Dansky play a lot of other things, but consistently seems to be having Tychus or having Artanis for Dansky. But in this case, Tommorrow are going to get Ragnaros. They don't want to allow Sulfur Smash along with Void Prison and then Malfurion too. So taking away those 2 big pairings for Zeratul.
Now Freedom has a couple of routes they can move into. They decide it's going to be ETC and Falstad. Very little, thought behind those picks. They're going to be insta-locked. So the Falstad is a hero that is slowly becoming more prominent in North America. I'd love to see that here. It's going to be great boss control. The global on this map is something to be feared. Tommorrow maybe look towards the Dahaka possibly in the later parts of the draft for themselves, maybe to match it. But overall, Freedom, very standard, very meta draft. Same with Tommorrow. See if any deviate a little bit. Tommorrow's banned though. What are they going to be looking for with Zeratul? No support. Do they go with support choke?
I think maybe they could ban Brightwing here if they want to do the globals, or Rhaegar if they're looking at both of those. So Rhaegar in the case of wanting to just ban one of the top tier supports that teams have been looking at here in North America. But Brightwing over Rhaegar shows that they are emphasizing banning away and not letting Team Freedom run away with all the globals. Yeah,
we'll see if that comes back to haunt them later on. Li Ming is going to be banned out. Tommorrow now. What are they going to be moving into with their picks? Diablo is an option here for Tommorrow, and the fact that we have no ETC or Variant. Again, the Dahaka is something to consider. I do think this is going to be the Tychus rotation for Tommorrow.
So when looking at Erho, who is back, by the way, he has played some Diablo, but it seems like if he can't get ETC or Varian, Johanna is the preference. But I don't know if Tommorrow will want to have Johanna here.
Yeah, it's a not necessarily the best map, nor is it compositionally. It makes that much sense yet. I guess they do have Malfurion and they have the Ragnaros. Johanna's just a hero that the entire team has to be able to work well with for to gain value outside of maps where her wave clear is going to be overly dominant. They do have the comp for it, but it's really just a question of, the comfort that they want to move into on the draft. It is going to be the Johanna. And what is it? Is it the Tychus to back it out here for Tommorrow, or do they make some changes?
Maybe Vala, if not Tychus.
It's going to be the Tychus.
Still Tychus.
Keeping it to what they know. Granted, that being said, with the team not being able to get a win yet, maybe maybe those adjustments should come out. It's hard to tell.
That's been our question for Tommorrow, right?
Yeah.
Is do they stick with the things that they have been using and try to just continue to improve within that, or do they switch things up? We wondered if this would be the moment they try to switch things up, considering the fact that when Team Freedom looked weak was once they started to ramp up, of course, was when they were up against B-Step, and B-Step found inflexibility within Freedom, their inability to adapt to things like Tyrande Varian, these pick comps. So we're not sure yet, of course, how Tommorrow will play with their current favorites, but they at least are going to attempt the first game, and then maybe we'll see adaptation if it doesn't go as planned in this one.
Yeah, I definitely understand, the idea of just feeling it out, seeing how it goes when you play your game, against your opponents, let them play theirs, and see how it works out, and then go from there in this series. No Tomorrow on to their last pick, though. They have the Warrior. They've got the Melee. They can really, you know, what they want to pick here, probably going to be a backliner. The question is which one, or they could go, again, Dahaka's still up, and with only having the Johanna, it might be something they want. There are no major backliners left with Li Ming, Falstad, Vala already picked up or, you know, banned out. Is there another one? I feel like I'm missing a synergy with a backliner here. I can't think of any off the top of my head, a major, really awesome that would complement the map at all.
Yeah, I think they're going to go into another Melee.
I think Dahaka makes the most sense then at that point in time. If you are going to go into another Melee, that or a Tyrael, but Tyrael doesn't work that well into their composition. Zarya, that's another one that made it this far through. They're going to go with that. The Zarya pick here, ooh, it's an interesting one. Their laning phase isn't going to be that good on the side of No Tomorrow. Freedom has just an absurdly well-rounded draft overall. I do think that they have a significant advantage when it comes to the draft overall, unless Ragnaros gets some game-changing. Twilight Dream and Soulfear Smash, those two together, if they have really good synergy, I do think No Tomorrow has an opportunity in this game. But overall, I feel like Freedom has a really solid draft.
No Tomorrow is kind of running the same thing we've seen before, where you have Johanna with Condemn and then Soulfear Smash in. So as long as we see that same synergy that we had from Superstars with that combo, it could work out really well for them. But No Tomorrow has been back and forth so far with their synergy, and whether things like that are able to work out for them. Their second week, things looked like the improvement was there. And then third week, it was more of a struggle. They had a great synergy when they executed the Void Prison Ring of Frost, even got a big teamfight win over Tempo Storm, doing that in their series versus them earlier this weekend. Just all comes back to whether or not they're all in sync once again with each other.
Yeah, is it really going to be, you know, is it their day to be on the same page? Make sure, you know, there's no hesitation after one CC's hit, the damage is going to be there directly after. There is a small window, I think, when it comes to the draft, where if Johanna is a game changer when it comes to the Blessed Shields and the Condemns, I do think their draft will do a lot better. But again, that synergy is hard to find even against the best teams in North America with Johanna, so I'm just fearful for No Tomorrow to be the ones to be able to, you know, be that execution. Superstars did, but Soray's also really known for his Johanna, so it also makes it a little bit more realistic that they would be the team to be able to step ahead, level up or step ahead with that JoJo.
Well, let's see if No Tomorrow can do it with this Johanna Ragnaros, or if Team Freedom will take the win in game number 1.
So on the left-hand side here is No Tomorrow, hungry for their win. Tiger JK there is going to be on the Malfurion. Urho is going to be on the Johanna. Zarya will be played here by Talking Trees. Casanova, as always, on the melee. Going to be the Ragnaros, and Jason filling out the Tychus.
And for Team Freedom in the red, their support Collusion switching roles, as we saw, now playing Rhaegar. Zagrug will be on his ETC. Insomnia playing Zeratul. Dansky will be the one flying around playing Falstad, and finally Nazmes will be playing Vala.
Falstad is going to get the flight there on to Vision. It looks like No Tomorrow is going to be going with a split here. 3 members in the top lane going to possibly bait out the Tychus, as Vision still controlled here by Freedom. The laning phase is here for these teams. Freedom should be able to do all right, but they don't have a solid solo, so Ragnaros should be able to kind of cause havoc into the beginning half of this game. And the lack of, well, there is enough wave there. I take that back. Casanova, though, is going to get power slid on, and instantly is going to be removed here. No Tomorrow already going down first blood over to Freedom.
And that's nice for Freedom, too. As you mentioned, Ragnaros is a great solo laner, and that takes him a little while to move down into the bottom lane. No Tomorrow have 3 members who want to siege up into the top. They're going to push that siege a little bit harder, seeing all the members of Freedom in the mid, but now have to back off. And Johanna has to be the one that just flex rotates into the bottom, which is a lot better for Falstad in his matchup.
Yeah, it's not a pretty start here for No Tomorrow yet. We'll see if they can change it around. It's not that detrimental, but again, you know, even those small things can really add up for a team. So looking towards improvement and looking for those changes. A small pick here, small pick there can really kind of hurt the morale, especially in the younger teams. But the Shrines now are going to be spawning here. Control of site will be able to aid over the middle one. During the first phase. The top one's usually just whoever has the more dominant lane transition, but Vision is huge there over the centerpiece. So we'll see where the teams go when it comes to the shots. Insomnia going on to Urho. Our Iron's going to be popped early. Zugrug's going to walk on out.
Falstad staying in the bot versus Ragnaros, but he has the distinct advantage of being able to fly in if he is needed to create a man advantage for Team Freedom. but at the same time, that would leave him in the bottom. Maybe No Tomorrow can try to take advantage of that and make Falstad have to come up, and then Ragnaros can push that lane extra hard, but Freedom at least want to make sure that they can get level 4 before they do that. They're happy just to trade out for now, can keep in control of this mid-tempo.
Yeah, and it's just going to be, you know, a safe play here for now. Willing to be able to take the trade for both sides. Johanna questioning if she can move up, delay these shots. It's going to happen for a couple of seconds. We'll see if No Tomorrow is going to be able to capitalize on this later, though, by moving those members there from top down below. Zugrug is going to have a sad power slide, not going to connect.
Okay, so Falstad's starting to move up. The fort was taken out thanks to all the damage that No Tomorrow did earlier on with the push, so that's a great win for them. Catch them up in experience. But Team Freedom now are ready to duke it out over this mid-tempo and its final few shots. Zugrug has to push away all of the members of No Tomorrow. With Freedom getting low, especially Zugrug, they're just going to have to give up these shots. And Falstad came up, so a little bit of frustration here that Falstad came up and they could not secure the rest of the shots, but at least does allow Falstad to move right on up to the top.
Experience is going to be even now for these teams, but No Tomorrow, as you said, with those, you know, the 3-man up on top, taking out the front wall and getting all the shots on top and some even there, even in mid, will have a structure advantage into this game. But No Tomorrow, they kind of put themselves in that position when it came to the rotations, and I do think that their comp really is more comfortable post-10 when looking at, you know, again, Zeratul Falstad. Vala is just terrifying in the damage department, whereas Zarya and, you know, Ragnaros really don't do too well until the game scales later on. For now, they're just kind of wave clearers here into the game. We'll see if any team makes a cheeky rotation. Freedom has the upper hand when it comes to the next Shrine phase, purely on the fact that we know it's going to be on bottom, and they have their global, so we'll see if they time the night camp. And that being said, No Tomorrow then should look for a 5-man rotation with Giants towards bot, ideally, just because they know they aren't going to win on top. So if they can catch Freedom off guard with that night play, that should be enough to give them a small advantage in experience.
Yeah, especially because No Tomorrow already got those Knights so early on, their bruisers. They alluded to the fact that they would be doing that, and they are starting to work on getting their own Giants. Moving up to the top, though, are Team Freedom. They've dealt with the bruisers for No Tomorrow, and they want to allow these bruisers to push along with Falstad for as long as possible while everyone is posturing at the bottom. But it's taking a little while to get those bruisers, and it's really only Nasmus here in the bottom against the strong 4-man push and the Giants here. So it all depends on how much No Tomorrow can get done with this push. But if they do this and have a good positioning over the bottom tempo, it's possible they could, again, get another fort.
Yeah, No Tomorrow did commit towards keeping Ragnaros on top rather than, you know, transitioning all those 5 members down to bottom. And so this is going to give it an advantage here over to Freedom for sure in this next phase. Good route there coming out from Tiger JK. No damage. Is going to be able to confirm any kind of kill, though. And the shot's now going to be spawning on bottom. We'll see if Freedom ends up setting Falstad down to be able to join the fight, as No Tomorrow's going to start on it.
Falstad for now, staying up in the top as long as they can. Freedom gets the start. But that does leave Nasmus inclusion a little vulnerable. Zugrug's got to be careful here. That's the nice thing about having these multiple warriors for No Tomorrow. But Trees is in trouble. Hammering will pick up the kill for Team Freedom, and that is a nice win over this temple.
Yeah, nice swoop on in there from Dansky to be able to get that kill. Now Ragnaros is getting the wave clear, though, you know, playing the Zul game, if you will, between mid and top. So Falstad's got to back right on out to be able to consider that. He did move into Seasoned Marksman, so he's going to say thanks for the free minions and helping me with my quest early on. Freedom's gonna be able to pick up the 10 here. They aren't gonna turn the structures completely back to even yet. It'll be relatively close, much closer than it was after the, you know, first Shrine phase here. So for now, 5 minutes in, it's gonna be a close game.
The nice thing for Freedom, too, is that they rotated very quickly afterwards, Zeratul and Falstad. So Zeratul's keeping tabs on Ragnaros. Falstad is the one getting the soak up in top, so they're starting to get ahead in that experience. Heroic abilities picked up for them. It's Stage Dive over Mosh Pit for Zugrug. Otherwise, still wondering what Vala is going to get, whether it be Rain of Vengeance or Strafe, and soon we'll have No Tomorrow's too.
Here it is. Everything is exactly what we would expect here. Urho down on bottom. They're going to transition a 5-man commitment on that rotation for No Tomorrow here on the bottom lane as Ragnaros and Tychus move on to the Giants, knowing the pressure on top from Freedom. Freedom's gaining the upper hand here. This Giant camp is nothing compared to the experience and pressure they're losing elsewhere onto the map. So No Tomorrow there, at least getting something while they're grouped. But again, the fact that Freedom is allowing, or excuse me, Dansky gets to do what he does here in the top lane, and Zeratul is anchoring to make sure that there is no rotation. This is a huge victory now for Freedom.
Yeah, it's nice that Insomnia was holding on to that mid and watching for when No Tomorrow would go up to respond, and Falstad got so much of that fort because No Tomorrow took quite a while to be able to finally send Ragnaros up to the top. Team Freedom starting to get a little bit of a head here, but it's still anybody's game here on Sky Temple.
We'll see actually a bit of a skirmish here. Urho is going to pop his Iron Skin. Insomnia is going to teleport out. So just patient play. Both these teams very considering of the map objective itself before willing to be able to risk a fight. Whether or not that's a trend of maybe a younger team or not, I don't quite know. I haven't seen enough of them to really know, but it does feel like that's very much the case where they aren't really looking for any kind of play outside of the objective itself, which is why we see maybe a bit of a slower tone. Only 2 kills so far here, both in the name of freedom though. I guess that sounds a lot worse when you say it that way, huh? When the kills were in the name of freedom? Either way. Yeah. Gus there onto Casanova. So Furious smash. Dansky going to be deleted. Void is already dropped, and it looks like, oh my goodness, Ancestral's not even going to connect. Twilight Dream is going to end the dreams here for freedom as 2 members are down right as the shrine spawn.
All right, so we have 2 temples spawning, 2 dead now for Team Freedom. I had to throw off my coat I was wearing there just in time. You guys didn't see that. We've got a top and a bottom temple. For now, Zugreg's holding the bottom. I think, do you agree we'll see No Tomorrow make the rotation down to the bottom because that is the place where the boss is more likely to go?
Yeah, so No Tomorrow ideally should be transferring to bottom directly after this phase because, again, that you got to be fearful of the boss because it's during this shrine phase, it's actually a situation to where it can only spawn either mid and bottom or top and bottom. So that we got top and bottom, then the best call would be moving to bottom to negate some of the, the pressure that can happen around the boss. That being said, they just got killed so close to top that I can see them starting with that. Yeah. It will hurt them in the end because if Falstad just decides to fly on bottom, it'll be a free trade in a scenario where they don't have to give it up. So we'll see if they, totally capitalize on the small advantage that they've been able to pick up here. But a lot of the times I would say, especially with younger teams, wherever you get the kill, they just go to the closest thing. And that's not the worst call in the world. It just might not be maximizing the value out of the lead.
Yeah, it's too bad they don't have a support or a global because then they could send that global up to top maybe and then just to go down, but then the global can join whenever. But I'm wondering if they would be willing to go after boss with those low respawn timers, about 20 seconds. Could they just run straight there and maybe get the boss instead?
It's possible, but again, it's a risk into how little damage the heroes put out this early into the game, and then also considering there's a false set on the other side. It's realistic that he would be able to spawn in that window and be able to get the Gus. It's one of those things where you just got a pretty big win. Don't bite off more than you can chew at this point into the match. Try and be a little bit safer. That's actually one of the beauties of Sky Temple. It's one of the few maps that if you get a lead, it's your game to lose, purely based on the fact that if you have an experience advantage and you have a shot advantage, it's actually like Blackheart's Bay. If you have the map objective advantage and the experience advantage, you have no reason to fight your opponents at the same talent tier most of the time. It's one of the few maps that complement that. So Sky Temple, just safe play here for No Tomorrow after the first couple of picks. That being said, it's by no means game over. It's still very, very close. It's just going to be probably half of one shrine advantage and maybe boss, posturing.
Well, guys, we're having some comms issues for players, so we're going to go to commercial. We'll be back just as soon as we can with the rest of this game.
Came to this world as exiles and outcasts. But together, we can be more. A weapon to break the chains of oppression. A bastion for the hunted and the lost. A family bound by blood and honor. And if our enemies do not give us peace, we will give them war! Victory or death! I pledge as your war chief. Until the end of days, I live and die. For the Horde!
Sombra, it's on you now.
I'm all over it.
See the full animated short at playoverwatch.com.
Welcome back to HGC North America. We are just getting ready to go back into the game. We are currently in the set between No Tommorrow and Team Freedom. And we're right in the middle of game number 1 on Sky Temple.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the players to, get everything figured out, and we will be getting right back into that game, guys. But for now, yeah, it's just not much to talk about other than the fact that the team's playing very patiently, considering, the map objective itself, trying to make the transitions. We did see a minor moment where No Tommorrow is going to get the advantage. The question is, how far do they push it? And the answer is going to be, at best, probably 3/4 of a lead, unless there's a huge mistake on the side of Freedom into this game.
Well, Freedom are behind it in the game, but they do have 2 forts that are pretty low in health for No Tommorrow, which would give them a big experience boost if they could get that. Frustrating to lose 2 members here, but it's very important for Team Freedom to not lose out on momentum and specifically their mindset. As a new team, we know that they specifically are a good team when it comes to the team atmosphere, but they need a 3-0 in this series, not just to win it at this point, but a 3-0 specifically now because Gale Force beat Tempo. We're ready to get back into the game, so let's see if they can do it. Team Freedom looking to 3-0 No Tommorrow to keep their Western Clash hopes alive.
That would be just ridiculous for this group of players if they were able to, make it to the Clash. But they're slowly dimming are going to be the odds is now Freedom down 2 members. No Tommorrow is going to be able to cap on top. They transition now towards bottom. They're willing to, threaten onto both of these shrines. We'll see if anybody on the side of Freedom tries to capitalize on the fact Casanova is by himself there into the top lane now that Falstad has spawned. Rhaegar moving into vision, and the Night Camp will be able to scout there in the top lane of the rotations of Freedom. So No Tommorrow here doing what they need to do to be able to get as many shots as possible.
Yeah, Zugger could stage up it. That's exactly what I thought he might do. Dansky flew in too, so this will be a dead Casanova. And Freedom get a kill to get them 13 and the rest of this temple. So making sure they had a fast rotation with Zugrug down in the bottom. But that was both of the globals used to move up to the top. No Tommorrow, and realizing that, are going to try to risk a boss.
Okay, this is... risk is an understatement to what that boss was there for a moment. Hoping there nobody would get the transition, but Freedom is going to be able to do so. Very good job, though, from Freedom on the spawn, using their globals to, punish Casanova there in the top lane and then get some of the shots. It allowed them structurally to be pretty close to even. Mid 4 is almost dead there for Freedom, but the weakened on the center No Tommorrow as well. Now they have the experience advantage on top of it.
Yeah, that's what we talk about a lot, is experience in the bank. When, especially on a map like this, where you haven't gotten the experience yet, but when you have structures like that that are so low,
yeah,
you can make a swing like that, get 2 forts, and all of a sudden be right back in, if not ahead of your opponents.
Yeah, it is an interesting dynamic there, though, but a combo is coming out. Ancestral not going to land there. The Sulfurous Smash follow-up onto Johanna. We talked about it. Is the team there to be able to follow up onto the initiations from Johanna? Most teams struggle, but No Tommorrow here, 2nd time in a row. They net themselves a kill, and now they set their eyes towards the bottom keep wall with the Giant Camp. Falstad and 0-2 low, pressuring elsewhere onto the map. They should get the minimum of that mid fort here. But nobody's going to push. They all back out, just looking for Falstad on that split soak.
That time, Rhaegar did have Earth Shield to be able to help out with Ancestral Healing, but it's crucial now, since that has happened twice in a row. No Tomorrow able to get the kill just before Ancestral connects, but they're able, Team Freedom are able to use that Ancestral to give another health bar to whatever team member they need, especially ETC, so that he can dive back into the fight and Freedom can attack and go on the offensive after it's No Tomorrow who starts the engagement.
Yep, Dansky barrel rolled out there, afraid of the Johanna. She is pretty scary. When you're a Zeratul or a Falstad, neither one of you can really do too much damage, while Iron Skin is going to be up 16. Will be picked up soon. Talent tiers, or excuse me, talent builds for these teams are, I mean, they are very cookie cutter so far through.
Standard across the board.
Yeah, maybe you could argue Johanna 7 is a small change there going with battle momentum, but other than that, I mean, it's not...
Yeah, I think it's been about 50-50 on Johanna's. We've seen even with that one, though.
Yeah, what you can do, the other option that we see a lot is going to be the mobility there at 7. It helps for the initiations. It makes you less of a walking blessed shield. So that is an important thing to look at, though, when it comes to these fights, because, again, talking about Johanna and her initiation and the follow-up, she is now... They are very reliant on a combo from Blessed Shield, because Condemn, she just shouldn't be in a position to be able to make a big Condemn play onto the proper target. So that means now the pressure is even heavier onto Collusion, though, in this game, because, you know, the Ancestrals weren't landing before, but then a good cleanse could be all it takes, knowing that Blessed Shield is the only identifying marker.
So here it is. Team Freedom had 16, but didn't quite push on as soon as they got that advantage. So more of the shots still have been in No Tomorrow's favor. They play the seesaw back and forth game until either side sees somebody too far forward. In this case, it was Zugrug that they thought that they could catch with Expulsion Zone. Void Prison in the back from Insomnia. Great job from that. Casanova is the target for the team. Gust is going to push away a lot of members of No Tomorrow. The focus from Team Freedom not able to quite get a kill, net a kill for No Tomorrow, and the sustain that No Tomorrow has now with trees providing these constant shields has been keeping them nice and alive on top of this temple.
Yeah, the Gusts and the Strafe used at the exact same time there hurt really bad for Freedom. It pushed everybody but Johanna out of range for the Strafe there, so no damage going out to No Tomorrow, because, you know, that initiation was very, very weak on the side of No Tomorrow. We saw the Blessed Shield come out the Void, good counter momentum measured there from Freedom. Then Sulfura Smash was dodged effectively as well, but still No Tomorrow was able to keep their health bars a smidge higher than we saw out of Freedom, and in fact was allowing them to be able to confirm some more of those shots. We'll see what they do here. It looks like Freedom, they know the camp is being taken. Do they want to invade? They're going to play a little more patient as Insomnia tries to flank. Oh, Jason, that might have been the wrong way there, fella, as that's going to be Expulsion Zone to isolate. Icebox is going to be dropped. And now Zugrug is the focus here for No Tomorrow.
Yeah, that was well played. That Expulsion Zone back. Gust is going to buy some time for Zugrug, but there's no Ancestral healing, so all the healing that Collusion can give Zugrug is there. Sulfura Smash catches, but Cleanse. Quick draw on the cleanse there from Collusion gets Zugrug back once again, and everyone from Team Freedom will run back. Zugrug didn't have Crowd Surfer, so we had to go all the way around. And then again, without Crowd Surfer, had to go all the way back around. And Expulsion Zone very nearly netted an ETC kill for No Tomorrow, but just wasn't quite there.
Yeah, and now we're going to see them backing out, looking towards pressure on the map. Again, with some of these younger teams, most of the time they're very concerned about more about just the pressure onto the map and the objectives itself and fighting around, you know, shrines than they are about picks anywhere else. They're going to be able to invade this giant camp. The other giant camp is available. Boss is too. Nobody's even questioning it, though. Boss control, looking at it, is obviously in favor of Freedom, purely off of the Gust and Void, but there are some good tools on the opposite side. Having Expulsion Zone. Johanna post 20 is one of the best when it comes to Indestructible.
And looking at talents at level 13, not one we see very often for Ragnaros, is Cauterize Wounds. It does give him more healing off of damage versus heroes from Empower Sulfuras, but of course a lot of times you see Resilient Flame there, because when you're stunned then you do get that armor boost. But in this case there's just not a whole lot of ways that would get procced from Team Freedom, especially without Mosh Pit. So a change up there to allow Casanova to give himself some additional self-healing.
All right, so Tiger JK knows the boss is happening. Scouting drone has, in fact, scouted it. Gust is here as Falstead's flown down. Urho doesn't have the 20. Tiger JK is moving up,
Gust
but that
being
is...
used already.
Oh, Gust already used it, and he's on the point there. Icebox to Twilight Dream is going to be a 4-man. Can anybody get Urho off Expulsion Zone? That is going to be Urho on the point, baby, and not enough, though. The Condemn in. The Sulfur Smash gets a kill. 1 for 1 so far. Urho goes down. That is now 2 members dead. 2 for 3 here. No Tomorrow. They have it. No Tomorrow picks up the boss. Nazmus, oh, he's barely alive. The minions are the minions. And they turn it around. No Tomorrow. It started with Scouting Drone from Tiger JK. Very well done. What is it? You just had to face him off for a moment.
Oh,
Anything?
it's just crazy. The Gust having to be used there earlier on was the boss control that they desperately needed as Team Freedom, and now No Tomorrow with this one boss. Get 20, team wipe Team Freedom, 15 seconds until anybody is up at all from Freedom. No Tomorrow have Molten Core as well as a full health boss, and for a game that was pretty passive, through a lot of the objectives, just all of a sudden in one decision, No Tomorrow win the game.
Yeah, it was a lot of it. You called it out perfectly. A lot of it came down to, you know, the fact that we did see Gus used very early on. So was Void. It was used both of those tools were used before the boss dies. Typically, you want to save those until after, because that's when the big plays come in. Even if it's going to be a Johanna by herself, you Gus, she Iron Skins, she's by herself, then you Void everybody as they sit very far away. But the fact that it was used so very early on, I think the idea was, you know, if we push her away, then she won't be able to get into that position in the first place. But it wasn't used properly, and in fact, it is going to be No Tomorrow being able to take game one.
And when Expulsion Zone went down, people had to keep running back into it. They did make it through the Expulsion Zone, but that's still time where you're slowed, taking damage. Finally, they get back on the point. No Tomorrow takes game number one. We're going to head to a commercial break and see if they can continue their series after this.